Before we start, just wanted to do some introductions of some different people that will be speaking here today. My name is Cody Asmus. I'm the new high school principal here in Nevada. Last 2 years I was in the middle school assistant principal. Before that I was an AP for a year, and then also had a 3-4-year experience at Waterloo East High School.
Is this better? All right. Everyone hear me? Okay. All right. So I have some experience not only teaching at the elementary level and middle school level, some administrative experience at both the middle school and the high school level. So really excited and humbled and honored for the opportunity to be working with all of your students here. Just some other kind of introductions, some different faces like I said, that will be talking here. First off is Mr. Hutchinson, right over here, familiar face for everybody, our assistant principal, and now the 7 through 12 athletic and activities director. And then Mr. Gross, the former principal, who's now the director of school improvement and innovation for our district, and then also for Colonesco as well. And kind of our purpose for tonight is just kind of get some information out to all of you. Kind of what standards-based grading and what the different grading systems will look like. For all the incoming freshmen, it'll be completely different than what you were used to at the middle school. And then for the high school students, there's just some small changes here or there, but more or less we just want to get information out to parents so we can kind of clear up some questions and also have a chance for all of you to talk with us afterwards if there's anything else that we can kind of answer. So just to kind of start and give you a basis for kind of grades, education, everything in general. There's just two questions that really drive instruction in our opinion. And these two questions kind of come from the Department of Education, which I have a script right up here, which I'll read here to you. The Iowa Core Standards describe what students should know and be able to do from kindergarten through 12th grade in math, science, English, language arts, and social studies. The Iowa Core also sets learning goals for 21st century skills in areas such as finance and technological literacy. So this is straight from the Department of Ed. It says exactly what all we have to do. So in other words, this question is saying, what do we want our students to learn? So that's our number one question that really drives instruction for our teachers. What is it that we want our students to learn? And all that is dictated by the Department of Ed, correlated to the Iowa Core, which all of our classes are aligned to. Our second question that comes up, once we have the what, now we need to know exactly whether or not the students are learning. How do we know that? Again, straight from the Department of Education. Full implementation is accomplished when the district or school is able to provide evidence that an ongoing process is in place to ensure that each and every student is learning the standards of the Iowa Core in all required content areas. So all those areas listed before, plus our 21st century skills. In other words, to us, what this says is all assignments need to be aligned to the Iowa Core. And that's specifically what occurs through standards-based grading, through everything that kind of drives our instruction, our assessments in our classrooms at the high school. So just to kind of give you a little bit more of a history kind of where we're at and how we got to the place that we're currently at, I thought it would make sense for Mr. Gross to talk real quick just a little bit about kind of the history and our current philosophy as it relates to grading.
Good evening. As Cody stated, the Iowa Core has been in place since 2007. And there was an implementation plan that was put out on having it fully implemented. And it's aligned to what they consider kids to be college and career ready. And it's a more rigorous set of standards than any time before. The expectations for all students were raised. And the expectation was that all students learn those things. So again, it's been a 3 to 4 year journey to get to where we're at now. Many of you that I look out there have had kids that have gone through different standards-based grading classes at the high school as we've been on this journey. It really started a few years back with a couple of teachers piloting in their classroom and refining the process over and over again. And so we got to a point now where there's a consistent proficiency scale that after teachers got into it and used it for a while, they were getting a chance to get feedback on the kind of scale they liked the best. And so that's where we're at currently. And then by the end of 2017 and 18, all classes will be using this scale to assign student grades. And the end goal is really to ensure that all students master essential standards by the time they leave our high school. All students. That's our goal, is to ensure that they all have a minimal level of understanding around the core standards, and then we can give feedback to parents and kids on where they're at with all of those standards. So that's really kind of the history. A couple of stories. that got us started on this journey. A couple years ago, when we first kind of got started, when we were talking about this, a teacher came in and said, "Can I give two students an F?" I said, "Well, tell me a little bit more. What's going on?" And he goes, "Well, they got enough points to pass my class, but I know they don't have the skills to be successful in the next class. I know as a teacher they're going to go into the next class and not have the skills necessary." And so we can't change the game on them now, right? You can't go back, and if they've got enough points to pass your class, they deserve to pass. And he felt deeply troubled by that. He said, as an educator, sitting in another class that I know they're not prepared for, I'm not okay with that. So he came back and talked about this standards-based. Is this what I want to do? What do you think? And I said, let's try it. And we supported each other along the way, and it's grown from there. As teachers saw that kids can achieve high levels, when you hold the standards and give them multiple opportunities, we've had teachers and students be very successful in this model. So that's kind of where we're at. We're at the point where a consistent proficiency scale moving forward. It really goes around the purpose of grades, right? Up here. Grades should be an accurate reflection of what a student or individual currently knows as it relates to our core. That's what grades should reflect, what they know and are able to do. And that's truly what's driving this process. So, how do you create this type of learning environment? Again, assessments and grades are directly tied to the core standards and benchmarks that have core. Differentiation of learning, so all students are able to grow and progress as learners. And that, daily work truly is practice, and is expected to be completed before taking assessments. Learning is the constant, not the time. Holding kids to the expectation that they learn the standards, it will take some longer than others, some will get there faster. It's truly about the learning. And that's kind of what's behind the purpose of why we're going this way. So that's a little background. These guys are going to take you kind of through what's going to look like moving forward.
Okay, so I want to talk about the two different types of grade systems you're going to see this year in the high school. First one, the traditional grades. That is what all of us parents are probably used to. It's the 100-point percentage system, 90, 80, 70, 60, A, B, C, D that we all grew up with. And there are still going to be some classes that are on there as we start to move towards our goal of more and more classes being on standards-based grading. I want to show the link there. As a parent, when you look in Power School and you look up your son or daughter's grade on Power School, if you look up there where it says section description, you'll notice there's nothing there. That'll tell you you're on a traditional grade system. And I know the teachers are going to do a great job of explaining that ahead of time this year to both parents and students as to what kind. They'll give a syllabus that will describe how the grades will come to you in their class. But as you look at that, that would tell you that's a traditional grading system. The other one, that the focus of this meeting, is the standards-based grading system. And the standards-based grading system is no longer on a 100-point scale. It's going to be on a 4-point scale, which we're going to describe more here in detail as we move forward. But when you look in Power School, and we weren't able to access this year's Power School quite yet, so we kind of had to write in what you'll see. But right there where it says teacher comments or section description, you will see it say standards-based grading. And so you'll know what you're looking at. And I think the biggest thing as parents and students is to understand when you look, if you're looking at a standards-based grading class, try not to look at the percentage, okay? Because for those of us that, like me, that grew up in a traditional grading system, if you look at the percentages and then look at the grade that associates with it, it's not going to make sense, all right? So I would encourage you not to worry about that. You could potentially, if you saw on our standards-based grading scale, if you saw 50%, you're going to see C next to it. That does not make sense to those of us who grew up in a traditional grading system. But again, it's on a 4-point scale, not a 100-point scale. So again, I would just encourage you not to look at the percentage. Unfortunately, we can't turn off, if we turn off the percentage for one class, we have to turn it off for all of them. All right? So we're just going to have to train ourselves not to worry about that in a standards-based grading system. What I would encourage you to look at is if you're looking at wanting to raise your grade, then you're going to go through, and what you'll see, and we'll talk about more in a second, is all you're going to see are 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s, and 0s. And 2 is going to be the minimum level. If you're looking for a place to raise your grade, look to reassess on the standards where you're not at that 3 or 4 level. That's how you're going to raise your grade. It's not going to be about points as much. It's going to be more about the level of understanding. Another question that comes up a lot, let's go to the proficiency scale next. So I was talking about the 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. The staff got together last spring as a group and went through how they wanted to define levels of understanding in a standards-based grading course. And here's what we came up with. The highest level is a 4, and you can see that's an advanced level. We feel like if you're at a 4, you're beyond what's just the norm. You've gone above and beyond, and you're really able to probably take the learning and transfer it into other areas to do things with it. So the 4 is the highest level. 3 is what we consider to be mastery of the standard. And if you're just asking yourself, how am I going to be college career ready? How do I know I'm ready for the next class? We feel like that's the 3 level. So that's kind of the target. You know, if you want to be ready to move on into the next class, or you want to feel confident that your skills are where they need to be when you go to college, you want to be at least a 3. The 2 level is what we call the minimum level that we're willing to give credit for. Okay, we're willing to give high school credit at a 2 level. However, you can't necessarily guarantee that if they're in Algebra 1 and they got a 2 on a certain standard, that they're going to be in good shape in that standard in Algebra 2. Okay? And so anything below a 2, 1 or 0, you know you have to reassess in a standards-based class. You have to get at least a 2 in a standards-based class to get the credit for the course. Okay? So that's going to be consistent in all standards-based classes. If you see a 2 in biology versus a 2 in Algebra 1, you know they mean the same thing. All right? And the reason we went to this and we put a lot of work into this is because we had so many different standards-based grading scales going on in the school. It got really difficult for not only parents and kids to follow, but administration as well. And so we're just trying to kind of pull it together and make it easier on everyone. Below, you'll find the grading scale. And again, it's on a 4-point scale. And if you notice, the C level, for instance, goes from a 1.67 to a 2. That's an average of all the standards. So if they are averaging a 2, that's going to be a C, and so on. And if you think about it, 2 out of 4 is 50%. That's why 50% equates to a C. All right? So this is really where we want your focus to be. And our hope is that the focus then becomes not on how many points you're getting, but what skills, what concepts you need to learn better to raise your grade. A big question we get a lot is how will this affect letter grades, GPA, and honor roll? And the simple answer is it will not. We'll still have letter grades as we described. GPA is going to be calculated the exact same way. It won't affect your ability to apply and win scholarships. We will still have an honor roll. Absolutely nothing changes with standards-based grading. It's simply just a different way to get at a grade. Okay?
When I first decided to be an administrator, my parents who were both teachers, my mom taught elementary art, my dad taught middle school science. I said there's 3 people you have to take care of if you're going to go this way. You always have to take care of the students, the teachers, and the parents. And kind of the reason behind that is they were all 3. They were teachers, they were parents to me, and then obviously they were students who they were going by. So those are my 3 groups that I really care the most about. Kind of leads in here to student-parent communication from our teachers. One thing that I kind of take pride in is being an over-communicator. Some of you who have kids that are at the middle school, and some of you that were teachers at the middle school, or even students, you might see sometimes you get an excess of emails from me. They're easy, you just delete them after a little bit, after you kind of get the rhythm. But I love to make sure that everybody's informed and knows exactly, what's going on. I really take pride in doing that. I want to stress that to our teachers as well. We want to be able to answer as many questions as possible for our students and for our parents as it relates to standards-based grading, because this is kind of a change for some of us. And one thing we're really stressing is that we're constantly updating PowerSchool, that we're communicating that to parents, making sure they have the opportunity to check grades at all times. Same thing with our students. Again, if we went back to our philosophy on grading, it's a snapshot of where they're at right now. So if grades aren't updated, if grades are updated monthly, that's not a snapshot of where they're at right now. That's a snapshot of where they were last month. It's something we are really stressing to our staff. And then also the syllabus, making sure that everything's explained exactly, clear to you, precise, standards-based grading, non-standards-based grading, what specifically constitutes a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1, and whatnot. So that'll be one thing we're really going to stress and try and increase as much as possible for all of you. Again, our goal for all this is that a grade, like I said, reflects what a student knows and are able to do as it relates to the Iowa core at that point in time. That kind of goes back to the continued communication. Extra credit, there is no extra credit anymore. Grades should be, and in this case, are based on demonstration of learning. To me, it doesn't make sense if you bring in, a box of Kleenex that you get an extra 15 points as opposed to somebody that wasn't able to bring back or wasn't able to bring a box of Kleenex. So taking extra credit out is something we're really going to stress. Assessments and grades, again, we kind of said this over and over, are directly correlated and tied to the Iowa core, which you'll see when listed through our grade book. And the number one thing for us is really the promotion of differentiated learning. Everybody learns a different way. I learn a different way than Mr. Hutchinson and Mr. Gross. All of you learn different from one another as well, so we're really trying to promote that, and this system provides us that opportunity. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about daily work, 21st century skills.
Okay, so again, trying to get a little more consistency around what we're doing. Daily work, or some think of that as homework, or however it may be, we look at that as practice. And there's a place in the Iowa core for employability type skills called the 21st century skills. And you will probably see that in the grade books and standards-based classes. What we're going to say, though, is that it's going to account for at most 10% of any grade. As far as reassessments, they need to show a minimum level of understanding, but they can. So if they aren't at a 2, they're going to need to reassess. However, if they want to reassess at a 2 or a 3 level to try and raise their grade, they can certainly do that. So a teacher may direct a student to reassess, but a student can also request to reassess as well. The reassessment schedule, we're going to put that out there to the students. Basically what we've done is we designated one day of the week for each block. We have 4 blocks during the day. Tuesday is our first block for reassessment, and so on. It doesn't mean you can't reassess any day of the week, but we try and help students and teachers prioritize. So if it's a Tuesday, they know that first block class is the priority that day for reassessment. So when we get to the end of the term, there are times where we do give incompletes. I think one thing to stress, though, with incompletes is that you aren't guaranteed an incomplete. If you've gone the entire term and you haven't put forth a good effort, and you just haven't done what you're supposed to, and you don't have the standards you need to pass, the teacher may very well say, no incomplete for you. What the incompletes are there for is for students that have really put in a good effort and just simply need a little bit longer to master certain standards in the class to get the credit. There is going to be an incomplete request form that we're going to ask students to fill out should they be in that situation. And then what they get, if a teacher grants an incomplete, what they will provide is students up to 2 weeks after the end of the term to finish that up. Okay, we do have to at some point put a limit on it. But we also want to honor those kids that just need a little extra time for whatever reason. It could be a variety of reasons. But it's up to 2 weeks. So a teacher may say, you know what, you have 2 days to finish this one standard. It's really up to the teacher's discretion. And I think it's important that the student does a good job of communicating with the teacher and in turn their parents so they know where they're at. As far as how the grading works, the grade will go in as an I. If granted incomplete, it will go in as an I until that grade is made up, and then the I will be replaced with whatever grade they've earned. Okay. In the event that a student were to fail a course and potentially retake it later, both the F and the old F would still be on the transcript, but so would the new grade if they were to pass it later. So there's a little bit of a difference there between incompletes and fully retaking a class.
One thing that's new for our district this year is a digital curriculum program that's called EdMentum that provides us the opportunity to offer credit recovery programs for students who either A, were not able to earn a credit, so they earned an F previously, whether it was a last term, last semester, as a sophomore, as a freshman, whatever it might be. And then also for students that would like to raise a grade, it also could be an option as well. Maybe they got a D- as a freshman, it's holding their GPA back. That might be for some college applications. They can retake the course if granted, and then have the opportunity to change that grade. It's a great program. It was something that we had when I was at Waterloo East. One student in particular that I worked with, they needed 44 credits to graduate after their 4 years. He was at 3.5 credits after his third semester, so he was starting his second semester as a sophomore year. He was able to take classes through the program that we have, went to summer school both years, after his sophomore, after his junior year, and he was he was ahead of schedule going into his last semester. Without this opportunity, without this program, there's no way that young man would have been able to graduate high school. He now works for Birch in Waterloo, has a good job, and he relates it all the way back to this program, to the Plato program, which is through Momentum. So really excited to get that going. It's offered 6 through 12, and it's open to all of the students. There's an application process and whatnot, but really a great program that's really going to be beneficial, not only for our middle school, but for our high school as well. So again, our credit recovery program provides students the opportunity to recover credits from previous terms or semesters, like I said. Just want to clear some things as far as GPA and transcripts go. There's kind of two different ways, two different paths that can happen through this. Students who previously earned an F, say maybe they failed second term their freshman year, and they want to obviously get the credit. If they were to then take credit recovery and pass the class, say they got a B, the F would stay on their transcript for that term when they first earned it, and then they would also now have a new course grade and credit, and obviously grade if they got a B. Both would be factored into their GPA, both the F and the B. The other side, say there's a student who passed with maybe a C- as a freshman, affecting their GPA, and they want to retake it. The old grade is replaced by the new grade, so the highest grade is factored into the GPA. So they got a C-. Next time they took an A, C- is wiped out, or C- is wiped out, and the A then replaces that new grade. So just kind of want to get some information on that, because I'm not sure how often that was utilized or used by students, but something we're really going to push for and utilize through this next school year. Just kind of in closing here, I'm sure some of you might have some questions, and instead of kind of just open up an open forum and letting everybody speak and throw things out, we really want to answer questions on a one-on-one basis if possible. To me, face-to-face communication is so much easier than over phone, text message, all that. I think that's kind of a lost art for a lot of people. So really going to encourage that for our students, but then also for all of you as well. If you like, we're a little early here. 20 minutes or so. I know there's some refreshments out there that's in the foyer area. But if you want to talk to any of us, have questions on this, myself, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Gross will all be available to answer questions as it pertains to this. You can also contact us through email. We've got our email addresses on here. And then also, if you'd like, you can stop in the high school office at any time. Really want to make ourselves available to all of you to answer questions as it pertains to standards-based grading or anything that's going on in high school, both students and parents alike. Again, there's refreshments in the foyer area. The activities meeting is starting at 7 p.m. We did record this also, so if there's some slides or whatnot that you want to just shoot me an email, you can either send the recording or the actual PowerPoint to kind of get you some more information. So we hope this has been beneficial to you. Hopefully it's answered some questions for you. If you still have some lingering questions or maybe some new questions, please let us know. And lastly, if you have anything that comes up during the school year, please communicate with the teacher. If you don't get the answers that you like, and you're still not not subtle with what's being said, come to myself and Mr. Hutchison. We really want to try and increase that teacher to student parent communication as much as possible.
I think the important thing is we want this to work the best as it can for everybody. So feedback about, hey, what about this, we can improve the system. That's why I say about to get to this point, is we took what teachers were doing and really tried to meld it into the best system we could based on what feedback we had at the time. Many of you had kids go through these classes already that use the same philosophy and principles, and they went through and were successful. We're just trying to make it consistent in the classes that are done this way. So we've taken the feedback, staff have looked at it several times. So, we said, hey, what about this? Great. We'll take that feedback into consideration. And we want to be the best system for kids, parents, and staff. So to this point, this is where we're at. Moving forward, again, we always want to try and refine and improve. So I think Cody would echo that as well.
All right, thanks again for coming. If you have any questions, like I said, all three of us will be down here. We'll answer them as best we can. Make sure you get some lemonade and cookies out there, and 7 o'clock back in here for the activities meeting.